I quit my dream job and I'm here with this guy because we're building the talent machine. And there's no one right way to hire. There's also like no recruiting jail or no recruiting emergency room. We're cavemen. I'm in a cave, you're in a cave. You gotta push a boulder up a hill. Well, hey, I might know another caveman. That's recruiting.
I think we're going to get those stories from people we've never heard from before. I think if this is successful, we will have interviewed the best people. We will have a show that people want to hear from those who are building the talent machine.
We're gonna break down some of this work. Let's go build the talent machine. All right, so we're here with Eric Friedman. Eric, what have you been up to?
Building my business one brick at a time, meeting cool people like you, and embarking on this journey we're both on for the first time, which is pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting. It's kind of crazy. We met 2 years ago because of a cold email. I think there's a lot of power in cold outbound and business development and just communicating with people. But as we share a little bit about what we're up to, I just want to say thank you for your friendship, your mentorship, the energy and interest you've displayed in me and some of my crazy ideas, for folks that are familiar with my crazy ideas at times. But maybe let's roll the tape back. Why are we here?
First of all, you're welcome. Thanks for saying that. If you weren't awesome, we wouldn't be here. Never give up on cold email. Everybody's ragging on it right now. But look at us. You reached out. We worked together for 2 years. I brought you on as a consultant. And then we parted ways for a little while. You went and got a job and became successful. I went and did some other consulting. And then our worlds came back together, which brings us to today, which is very cool. This is the first time we're ever in the same place after 2 years of being remote, which is kind of crazy. It's good to see you in person. This kicks off our start to our new company, Building the Talent Machine, a media company with you as the co-founder and main person who will be building the talent machine in public with a show, with sponsorships all around the area you know and love probably better than anyone: talent, HR, recruiting, and everything that comes along with it. That's why we're here.
I mean, there's a compliment tucked in there, but I don't think I know better than anybody. I think it's storytelling. And when I reflect on what makes hiring processes great and memorable for candidates and hiring managers and recruiters, it's a through line of a great story. So I'm excited to embark on this journey with you, with your mentorship, some of your advisement, obviously your stories and experience. But when I think about our goals here, it's to tell those stories, to have a little bit of fun, inject some of this new media into the conversations that can be very geriatric at times. Hiring has existed for forever. It's one of the oldest professions. If we're cavemen, I'm in a cave, you're in a cave, you got to push a boulder up a hill. Well, hey, I might know another caveman a couple caves over that could give us a hand. In my mind, that's recruiting. That's hiring. So where do we go from here? We've got all this cool technology and these cool companies, and you and I have been a part of some really fascinating tech companies. So when I think about the stories we'll tell together and some of the guests and audience that will enjoy this content, that's the main goal for me, is storytelling. How do you think about storytelling?
I think that's why you're great. You're the right person for this. For me, this goes all the way back to why and how this came together. Part of what I've been doing for a long time is building the machine. And in this particular case, this pillar is building the talent machine. You're right, hiring's been going on forever. It's changing more than ever, which I think is an evergreen statement every year, maybe every decade. But just to give you the origin, which I think is important, we first came together and I shared with you my macro idea of building the machine. I've been obsessed with getting to people that are behind the scenes, building the machine in different areas. Building the sales machine is how it started. Building the BD machine, building the product machine, etc. Each of these different people in different companies with great leaders, sometimes it's the founder, a lot of times it's not, are building behind the scenes. And I think when you share those stories, people learn from them. When you ask those great questions, people tell their story. I think there's so much behind talent. I've hired, you've been closing these recs forever. there's software to use, there's steps to take, there's frameworks to follow, there's all these amazing things. And just this one vertical represents a whole bunch of companies, a whole bunch of cool people, a whole bunch of things that people new to the industry need to learn, and people who've been around for a while want to hear from others. And so if I think about that foundation, building the machine, and now we're here to build the talent machine, who better to do it than somebody who has the vision and the ability and who can get those stories out of people, and then we can share them. We can share them with others. We can share them with brands. We can share them with software platforms. We can share them with other people. And I think that's how people want to learn, is through storytelling. Nobody wants to go through another like onboarding wizard.
Yep.
Or go through another checklist or read another onboarding doc. I think those days are behind us, but they do want to hear, hey, so how did you do the thing? And I think we're going to unearth what's behind the headline. Oh, this company raised X dollars, or like, oh, this company was acquired for Y dollars, or hey, this company landed this huge sponsorship. How did they do those things? Who were the people behind it? And in this case, within the talent vertical, because it all comes back to talent. And maybe one of the things that we're about to cross the Rubicon on is it all comes back to talent. And maybe today, for the first time, it used to be talented people. But now it's talented people and talented agents and technology. But we'll get there. So that's the origin. That's what I'm excited about. Who better to do it than Brandon Jeffs? I don't know.
I, for a few years, have had this trope that recruiting doesn't have a monopoly on great hiring processes. I think recruiting just happens when you need to bring somebody else and there's a couple of folks in a room. Do you have any fun hiring stories, or do you have any favorite hires that come to mind? You can't say me.
That's a good question. I think a lot of the best hires are not really hires at all. They're people that let me join their team as an investor. And so I think it's founders, and I've been lucky enough to invest in some amazing founders. It's not quite a hire, but when I get to work with them on a daily basis, it feels like a hire.
Yep.
I've had a few opportunities where I've run some programs, accelerator programs, invested in people and gotten to work with them every day, or started a company with a founder adjacent to them and get to work with them every day. It's kind of like a hire. And I think some of the things I look for in there, some of the ones that stand out, are the people that not only have gone on to be successful and built successful companies, but I really got along with and trusted. I'll try and bring this to life with a story. There's one guy who's my canonical example of like best in class CEO. It's a guy called Wayne Mackey. He is a PhD in neuroscientist. He is the CEO of a company called State Space. He applied and we invested in him through one of the accelerators I ran. And he came in and we were peppering him with questions a la Shark Tank style, but much nicer and a much better deal. He was building an esports company. He was interviewing us as much as we were interviewing him. I don't think I've ever told this story, but he was asking questions to me about how I was gaming, what I thought about multiplayer games, and all these different types of things. And when I told him what I was doing, when I told him what I liked, he was like, oh, these are people I want to work with. Like, these are people I'll let invest in my company, which was like a perfect, way to meet and know and understand someone. It wasn't like some sort of McKinsey mind game question. It was like, do you game? Like, what do you like doing? His company's an esports training platform. Like, think the NFL Combine, but for esports gamers. And so he was like genuinely interested in who we were and who I was. And I was genuinely interested in like why and how he came to be. And maybe for another day, he's got a circuitous route to success where he was selling cell phones and then got his master's in neuroscience and PhD from NYU and is like a programmer, a designer, a lot of different things. Anyway, that stands out. Not quite a hire, it's somebody I invested in.
I like that example because we can tie it to hiring through a phrase which came to mind immediately, and it's this idea of candidate market fit. Investors look at founder market fit. Are they well suited to solve a problem in a specific space? And you and I know when you're working with early stage startups, Series C and earlier, it's definitely a signal to anchor to, is this the right candidate for this industry, for this product, for this moment in time? And I think this idea of candidate market fit is something that we can explore over the course of these conversations with talent leaders and people leaders, and maybe they're folks that don't carry a traditional recruiting HR title, that have made exponential impact through identifying high leverage individuals. So it's cool to hear your example of him putting you in the hot seat.
It's true. I don't know how anyone has it perfect. If there was a perfect playbook, someone would write it and everyone would follow it. I certainly don't know, which is why I'm excited to learn from these people. What I love is hearing that folks say, like, you can learn everything you need to know about hiring someone from their reference calls, not their interview. I don't know if that's true, but I love it. And then the other one, which I do subscribe to, is you probably will know if somebody's going to work out within 1 month.
Oh, okay. So we can unpack that.
That's been my experience.
I like this idea of bringing up a spicy take around references. I think there's a lot of ping-ponging that goes around tech circles around references, back channeling. These are questions that I'm excited to explore with some guests to really shake out, how are companies hiring? How are they identifying the best talent? Is it something that you can trust off LinkedIn if somebody says they agree or disagree with something? Or how is the sausage actually made? So that's an exciting one. And then the 1 month test is interesting. Saw a recent post. Jason Lemkin talks a lot about hiring in the sales side, and he said you'll know by Thursday of their first week if they'll work out. So I'm excited to maybe throw some of those questions at talent leaders. Is it 4 days in? Is it a month in? What are those signals? We can even package this into large concepts like quality of hire. What is it? How do we replicate high-performing individuals?
It's good stuff to explore. I think you'll know if a hire will work out within 2 to 4 weeks, without a doubt. I'm giving them like some buffer, but it's probably shorter. And then references, yeah, I can't wait to learn from these people, but I feel strongly about references, both given and back channel. Just to go deeper for a second, I don't think people ask good reference questions ever. I have a list which I can share with you. I also am always shocked that you will ask someone for 3 references to call. They will give you references, and these people will give bad references.
Oh, yes.
And I've seen it happen. Sounds like you have too. Maybe it's the questions that I ask, which I can share with you if you want to hear them. But I'm shocked that someone would say to someone, will you speak on my behalf? They say yes, and then they don't give a great reference.
Do you know them off the cuff?
Yeah, my go-to best reference questions are, would you hire this person again?
Yep.
Where are they in the top 1% of people you've ever hired? And then those are pretty normal. The one I add to the list is, how does this person like to get feedback?
Oh, good.
Because then what ends up happening is they're pre-programmed to hit play on whatever question you ask and just espouse beautiful, elegant, positive things. But when they have to answer as a hiring manager or a previous manager, like, how does this person get feedback? The question behind the question is actually like, they start going, well, actually during this one time when they had some struggles or a challenge, which is fine, you get to the real answer. Because then they're like using their brain to think about an example.
Yes.
And then they have to think about giving the feedback and then how it went.
Can I add one of my favorite reference questions? So Eric, is there anything that you wouldn't want to tell an HR guy on a professional reference call right now about this person? And it's a fun one because then it's the follow-up questions. It's diving into, how can I set this person up for success? I want to be integrated into their onboarding and their employee experience. Make sure that this is a motivating step for them in their career. What are some of those blind spots that they may have, or examples of some feedback that I can help develop them in? Because we talk a lot in tech about identifying exponential employees. And one thing you taught me, which I've borrowed and given you a ton of credit over these last 2 years, is there's no such thing as a 10x employee, engineer, sales, or other. You want to elaborate on your thesis around exponential employees?
I wonder how much that's changed now with AI and agents and agentic resources, because you can actually have that in an electronic form.
I love it.
I think that is a misnomer, because I appreciate the attribution. It's 3 cents a use, by the way, in case you're looking to settle up.
He's cheap.
It doesn't exist because it's like a mythical creature. Like, I just don't believe that someone is going to be doing 10x the work, because you're actually identifying like super low performers. Like, if that person's a 10x, it's like, what are the rest of these people doing?
Yep.
Was it something like that? I don't know. That was
I think you said once years ago that you're like, I don't believe in a 10x engineer, but I do believe in a 3x engineer. And that was probably, just rolling the tape back, 12 to 18, no, 12 to 15
Oh,
months.
I see. I remember now. Yeah.
Into ChatGPT. But I think I'm with you. I think at this point, you think from a revenue perspective, well, how much revenue does a salesperson bring in versus what they're paid? Could be 10x.
True. I think that's like a multiplier of revenue. I think output is really hard because if you're saying this person's 10 times the amount of output than my current team and they're great, how would you describe that current team member?
That's a good question, because this whole idea of 10x, it's a quantitative metric. And I have an idea of why we talk about things in quantitative metrics in tech. It's because tech is run by a bunch of math people. But I'm with you. I think if you've got a bunch of 10x folks identified and there's a bell curve, well, at what point does the bell curve break? So I'm excited to hear more from people who want to break down some of these big, chewy, juicy topics, think for themselves, have informed opinions to make other recruiters better. If I think of the biggest goal coming out of all of this, it would be to, one, have a efficient transfer of knowledge within the industry, including generationally. Like what can we learn from folks that have done hiring for 10, 20, 30, 40 years longer than us? There's got to be lessons in there. And then the second would be how to motivate and pass that torch so that recruiters who are working recs day in, day out can have that inspiration, a place to come to get questions answered, to get a little hyped up, and just to inject some fun into recruiting, because life is far too short not to have fun working on cool problems with interesting people. And in recruiting, we have the opportunity to do both.
I think that's great. I think you have a unique ability to like make people feel comfortable, get them to be human, not have them hit their they can hit their PR bullets, but then they also can give you their real answers. Everyone is lately talking about, the one person company that makes $100 million or $1 billion, but it does also come down to people. And so the reason why I'm excited is to dig into exactly what you just described. Those people who are building the talent machine inside of their company, where it touches agents, people, software, the technology, the partners, and then what they do and how they got there. I think people they want to hear that stuff. They want to know. And to bring it all the way back around, the reason why I started the sales machine, which is now on ice or archived, was when I was at Foursquare, I was thrust into a role that I actually didn't know anything about. And so the idea was to bring as many sales experts, SVPs, AEs, VP sales, CROs together in a room and have a conversation, learn from them, learn from the best. And it's interesting because I would invite them and say, bring your number one performer. And so I'd have like a baller person and their number two, or in their eyes, their number one performer. And then I would just ask them questions like, what systems do you use? How do you guys run your CRM? How do you do this? And that same cadence helped all the people that were in the audience. And it became content people wanted to watch. And that machine is a heavy influence on how I built the sales machine there. But I think this is an opportunity to do the same. So those people that have a lot of experience and want to tell those stories, you can glean learnings from them. The people brand new, they're definitely on the cutting edge and doing things in a new way without the, let's call it the baggage of like what happened over the last 20 years. Both are valuable. Surfacing those stories and publishing them is gold.
Well, I'm excited to surface some of these stories. Eric, thank you for believing in me, for embarking on this journey and this project. I can't wait to share some of these stories, bring you along for the ride, introduce you to some of my recruiting friends. I quit my dream job and I'm here with this guy because we're building the talent machine. Eric, what is the talent machine?
That sounds pretty great. Considering that you quit your dream job, this feels like a downgrade. I'm just kidding.
It probably is.
This is going to be unearthing all the stories, all of the people, and all of the ways that create the talent, HR, and recruiting systems inside of companies.
Yes.
Which you've been an expert on for a long time. I'm excited to partner with you, back you, and create this because people want to know how this stuff is done. I think this is exciting because what I'm looking forward to sharing is the behind the scenes of what we're doing.
Yeah, but it's not expert. It's like, okay, I have one point of view that is biased by my experiences, and I just happen to have this really cool career narrative where it's join a post-IPO hyper-growth public company, go into private equity, scale up startups, go into early stage startups, go out on my own, work with bootstrapped exited founders. So it's like, go from huge to very small niche. And that's something that you've spoken about, like niching down, deliver value. But am I an expert? Absolutely not. There are like a million ways to hire, and there's no one right way to hire. There's also like no recruiting jail or no recruiting emergency room. So I'm excited to explore some of these topics with folks just through the lens of my own experience, having worked in a variety of different companies, including early stage tech, which is where you and I pick up our journey.
Well, you've done the job, so you can go talk to these people as a voice of reason. And we're both low ego, so we can go say, hey, how did you do it? Because there's a ton of people that have had a lot of success and they'll all take credit for it in their way, but it's not the way. There's not one way to do it. Otherwise, everybody would be using that playbook. This will be really fun. We can look back on this in 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. I think if this is successful, we will have interviewed the best people. We will have a show that people want to hear from those who are building the talent machine. I think we will have visibility into some of the top candidates and talent that's out there. I think we'll have visibility and pipeline into some of the best jobs that are out there.
Yes.
Matching those two things together is recruiting.
Yes.
And I think there's commercial opportunities and money to be made there. I think we're going to get a first look at what's coming down the pipeline of talent, HR, recruiting, people ops. And what I mean by that, of course, my interest is software and startups and companies.
Yep.
I think we're going to see people making moves and behind the scenes. Hey, I've left this company. This is what I'm doing next. I think we're going to get those stories from people we've never heard from before.
Yeah.
So I've always said this to you. There's the founder out there. There's the founder up on stage. There's the founder with like all the headlines. Behind that person is incredible people on a team doing the work, building the machine, in this case, building the talent machine. Because every single one of those companies has people that work there. Now, whether it's one and they're doing 100 million, which is of course the topic du jour on X, Twitter, LinkedIn, how do we have one person with $1 billion company? Fine. There's still one human there, at least today. Most of them have two, let alone 200 or 2,000 or 20,000. So if it involves people, it'll be good content for talent machine. That's my look back a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
I can't tell you like how buzzing I am in this moment to have this conversation, because like this actual conversation is such a treat. You are a behind the scenes guy, from early employee at sexy name startups, GP, running funds, fractional COO, fractional CFO. Like you are that guy. And when I like explain to people like our relationships, like, yeah, he's just like this behind the scenes guy. But you're also very humble. This idea of like, who is the person behind the scenes? Who's the person behind this brand name, these stories? I think that's what I'm excited to extract, is like everybody knows about a certain hiring process at a certain company. And there are these elements of recruiting process that are in our vernacular. And I want to get to the journalistic why. What is the truth? What is the fact behind that? How do we educate people to know, like, an example would be, why do we call it something in an interview process the bar raiser? We're going to actually break that down and talk to the person who identified the bar raiser. So I'm excited to just share some of this knowledge and educate people, because you've done that with me. But it starts with two dudes in a room. And I can't believe this has been like 2 years in the making, and that you're carving out time to sit down and chop it up with me.
Well, we're doing this together. I wouldn't do this unless you were here. We wouldn't be building this unless you were the person to take the torch and run with it. I'd like to think that everything I've done up until this point makes me the best partner to partner with you to do this. So it's exciting and fun. I appreciate what you said. I am a behind the scenes guy, which is why I'm so interested in finding those people elsewhere.
Yep.
Because we see those same headlines. We see the same LinkedIn posts. Hey, I'm now here. How did that happen? How did they arrive there? How did those dots get connected? I think that stuff is fascinating. I think other people want to hear about it. And then when that person does arrive there, how are they going to get their fingerprints, their systems, their processes all over that org? I think those things are the talent machine to me. I'm really excited about what comes out of it, which I just described before. Information about where people are going, open roles that are happening, new software and startups that are coming out. And then what I really hope is there's people and sponsors, this is a business, to join us for the ride, to say,
Absolutely.
hey, we want to be associated with those people who are talking about these conversations, with a great host who can get to good people, which makes our sponsors happy. And then this is a little bit of the flywheel. If we get those amazing people, and maybe I'll put you on the spot in a second and ask you, like, who is just your absolute North Star, amazing, top, unreachable, uncontactable person. So think about that. If we can move up and get to those people, we're going to have content that people really like. If we have content that people really like, everyone that joins us as a brand or as a partner will be really happy. Those people who come on the show are going to want to put that in front of their audience. It's going to help their career. It's going to help hiring. It's going to help their team. Maybe they're promoting something. If we do that, more people are going to want to come on board. People with a huge audience, people with a story to tell. And I think that's actually key. You have a great ability to interview people, disarm people, and get those stories out. And that's the flywheel. People who have great audiences, they're going to make our partners happy. They're going to make those interviewees happy. We're going to get to that next person. And then we're going to get to further and further down the line. And that's what we're going to have. We'll look back a year from now and have all that stuff happen. So just to put you in the hot seat, who is a person that it would be absolutely impossible to get in the hot seat talent machine chair today? Big names. Hit me with 2 or 3.
This is a loaded question, Eric. I don't think I've told you this. My first answer is I don't think there is somebody too big in this space that will not say yes. And the reason why,
love it,
is because I have consistently been proven wrong over the last 2 years, say, of creating content. When I cold email somebody, when I show up at an event, when I happen to walk into an elevator with one of those big name folks in our space and introduce myself, I don't think anyone I've asked to come on the podcast that I did last year or the year before said no. So I don't think there's a big enough name that I can't see around a corner on now. We met because I sent you a cold email. I haven't told you this, but first post, January 1, first comment in on LinkedIn. If you don't know Jason Lemkin, he's all over the internet. I didn't tell you this. I landed in SF last week and I sent a couple emails out before when I landed. You know who was the first email in when I opened up my phone? DHH. So I am so bullish on the future of stepping out of your shell, sending that cold email, picking up the phone and making a cold call, spending $100 to get on a flight to get to a conference, and walking up and shaking the hands of your heroes. So I'm excited to think outside of the purview of building the talent machine from a recruiting practice and a people operations and HR practitioner. I can get in front of anybody, and I hope you all say yes. Some of you folks that have committed, I'm coming for you. We're gonna have fun, I promise. But when I think about who can we talk to, there are so many stories around hiring and recruitment and great people leadership that comes from maybe outside of our little niche of seed to Series C startups. And we've hired folks together for those companies. It's been a blast. So I'm excited for who says yes. Some of these stories that will be high value, high leverage, people you want to hear from. And when I think about reasons for people to tune in or to reach out to us, it can be for a few buckets. Like, yeah, you mentioned sponsorships. Like if you want to sponsor what we're doing, we can absolutely have that conversation. Would love to have your support. Recruiting. We're a recruiting shop. If you're interested in having us work some recs, do some of those executive searches the way we've done before for some early stage venture-backed startups, happy to do that. That is very much within our wheelhouse. Brand deals, like it or not. It's funny when I meet people and people introduce me as an influencer. You can't put a genie back in a bottle. So I guess like whatever I've done, growing a LinkedIn account and a presence, just happily building community on LinkedIn for 10 years has started to take off just as a result of the algorithm. So if you want us to do product teardowns, if you want us to do some promoted posts, that's well within our wheelhouse for companies that share a vision and an alignment with our goals. What are some other reasons that people might want to reach out to us or not reach out?
I'm going to keep you in the hot seat. We work well together because I always push you beyond your comfort zones. So there's nobody out there you wouldn't be able to get to. Who are some of those people? And maybe even better yet, who are some of those companies? Dream company.
Okay. So I'm gonna give a little bit of a teaser, folks, and hopefully this is a forcing function for a couple of yeses. Tim Sackett, I'm coming for you, buddy. Jenny Dearborn, that elevator conversation was with you at HR Tech. You gave me the verbal commit, so I'm coming for you in email. Josh Burson, saw you at the Southwest Terminal. You gave me the verbal commit, yes. Coming for you too, buddy. We're gonna break down some of this work. I'm excited to talk to a few more folks who I haven't met in person yet, who I have met online, because I really believe strongly if you're not willing to make that in-person connection, don't waste your time doing anything online. Like DMs, comments, posting, whatever. Like if you're not friends in real life or colleagues in real life, you're not adding value and you're not extracting value from like a societal human level. So those are a few folks I'm excited to have on the show and to chase down. I'm excited to also amplify some voices of people you may not have met yet on the internet. And some of those voices are really important because they're at the practitioner level. And just because somebody has a crazy large following doesn't mean they're an expert. I think there can be experts who you haven't heard from. So I'm excited to give them platform, give them that polished, packaged piece of content to share with their audiences. And then some of those companies. I think there's some amazing companies out there in tech, in lifestyle, in the trades. I think we can explore what it means to have a fulfilling career outside of this traditional narrative of...
What are some of those companies?
What are some of those companies? I would love to work with... Some of the companies I'd love to work with would be... I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing companies in the past, like WellFound, Team Taylor, Section. Engaged with companies at all stages of the candidate and employee journey. And what I like to do is, through these conversations, break down a theme or topic that really aligns to a specific problem set and process that recruiting and HR practitioners are solving. That could be a learning and development company. That could be a recruiting software. As we move more towards all-in-one in the applicant tracking space, we could talk a little bit about companies like Greenhouse, which is why we're here in New York. We could talk a little bit about Ashby or Smart Recruiters. The number one question I get is, what applicant tracking system do you recommend? And I'm excited about the state of the market because we've seen so much growth. And to me, it's all about having the right arrow in your quiver for what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm excited to move into culture products. There are companies like ChartHop, companies like Culture Amp. These are some amazing companies that early stage tech companies are leveraging to supercharge their recruiting and people operations functions. And I want to hear the stories of how those companies were built too. It's all very meta in the conversations we'll be having.
This is great. I'm going to do a quick fire Q&A with you and ask you about a couple companies you've heard about early in their life cycle, maybe 1 to 2 years old, that you might want to talk to. And then some companies that have been around for a bit, maybe they're in the 5 to 10 year life cycle. And then companies that have been around for a long time, that maybe you can name 2 or 3 companies that you've heard of in the last 1 to 2 years who would be great to hear about how they're building their talent machine.
When I think about companies that are building their talent machine, I look at early stage companies, the mid stage companies, some of the larger ones, some of the early ones I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about this company called Talent Llama. Shout out to Ben and Adam. They've been doing really cool work in the AI interviewing space. We talk a lot about what it's like to talk to an agent or leverage agents in the interview process. And I think we're on the precipice from a technology perspective of candidate having an agent as well. Right now, Talent Llama is fleshing out this conversational interviewing process for human to agent, but I think we're so close to agent, and that's going to be disruptive in the interview process in the next couple of years. So that's an early stage company that I really support and have my eye on. Another one is Kinfolk. Really interested in what Kinfolk's doing out of the UK. When I think of like some of the mid-stage scale-up companies, I'm really excited about Ashby. I got some friends over at Ashby. They're doing some great work in the all-in-one space. As we think about consolidation in the tech stack for recruiters, it's making things a little bit more simple and easy. So I'm excited to continue to work with them and see where they go. I know they have an amazing trajectory ahead from their executive leadership and all the way up to their GPs and LPs. And then larger companies, I think a lot of people love to hate on Workday, and Workday is going through a major media moment right now with active litigation. I think Workday has an incredible data set that could train an HR native LLM once we get through some of the compliance processes that we need to catch up on from a regulatory perspective. But companies like Workday are really exciting. You can't ignore some of the large players in our space. So part of my job and part of my role in all of this is interfacing. You'll probably see me out and about on the conference circuit, whether it's on stage speaking, whether it's behind a camera, or whether it's taking folks out to dinner and doing some biz dev. But those are some of the companies I'm excited about.
Who would be your dream sponsor for building the talent machine, and what would it enable you to do if we landed them?
Use promo code Brando for 20% off Athletic Greens.
Are they a good sponsor? Who would be your dream sponsor for building the talent machine? Dream sponsor that would let you do what you want to do. Dream big.
This is going to sound kind of crazy, but I'm really excited as we think about consolidation in the tech stack for what a dream sponsor could be for building the talent machine. And this answer might surprise you. It's actually Salesforce. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share this or not at this point. So whenever this goes live, a dream sponsor for building the talent machine would be Salesforce. And here's why. It's probably an answer you weren't expecting, but Salesforce just acquired MoonHub, which is an AI sourcing platform. As we think about consolidation in the tech stack, it's not exclusive to the recruiting and HR functions. We're going to be seeing consolidation across entire organizations in these big sweeping motions. So I would love to have sponsorship from Salesforce to allow us to dream big.
What would you do if Salesforce was a sponsor and they said you could do anything you wanted?
Oh, if Salesforce wrote us a check, we would be out at Dreamforce for sure. I know they have a lot of content around like influencer marketing, and they have a great influencer experience for folks that come out with their selfie sticks. But when I think about those conversations around building the talent machine, there's so many stories that happen with the individuals who are involved in hiring outside of recruiting. You see me at recruiting conferences. A lot of the times that's me to hang out there. A lot of the times that's there for me to hang out with my friends, do a speaking engagement, do a little bit of biz dev with past clients and new clients. But when I think about hiring not having a monopoly, when I think about recruiting not having a monopoly on hiring, I often think about, well, where are they hanging out? How do we get on their court? So that would be something like, hey, if we're talking about hiring great sales reps, where do you think great sales reps hang out? Dreamforce.
Salesforce, we're coming for you.
All right, Eric, when we spoke about building the talent machine, you took a risk. I made a decision to quit my job to do this. That was a forcing function. What are forcing functions?
I can't think of a better forcing function when you have an opportunity to create something powerful, a person who can take the torch and run with it, and the resources to support them. A forcing function is a great moment to say, hey, I'm at a point in my career where I need to make a jump. We were looking for something to support and build in the let's invest in a company, but it's something we can co-create together. And a forcing function is an artificial constraint that lets us get there together. And so in startup parlance, there's all sorts of different forcing functions. It's the end of a month, it's the end of a quarter, it's a shipping deadline, it's a hiring offer, it's something that gives you a line in the sand that forces you to make a decision. And I think indecision paralyzes a lot of people. And so we could have dragged our feet to do this. You could have said, hey, I'm going to work another 3 years, or we're going to wait for the perfect time to create this media business. And I think what we both know as business partners, as dads, as friends, there's not a perfect time to do things. And a forcing function is like, okay, you're ready, we were ready, let's just do it. And there's really no difference between yesterday, before we had this business, and today, other than, okay, we're doing it. And I think that's why most people don't make the jump.
I think you also just alluded to a great sponsor for us, which would be Nike, because you just dropped some Just Do It knowledge on us. When I think about another great sponsor and partner for building the talent machine, both on the sponsorship side and the placement side, it would actually be Caribou Honig. He's raised a third fund. I'm really excited to see the mission of this fund be focused on future of work technology and healthcare. So I had the privilege to work for one of Caribou's companies years back, and he and I were in contact recently just celebrating his announcement of this third fund. So that would be a great prospective client for us.
That's a great idea. QED is amazing as a firm. They're great investors. They've invested in some companies I've had the privilege to work with. I actually think that's a great example. Caribou, if you're watching this, I think you should take that opportunity. Otherwise, I think going to another venture fund to do this because they want to see what's being built in this space, especially in the talent AI space. That's a great idea. And they would probably enable us to do what we want to do and what to build.
100%. Any last words or advice for people tuning in?
I trust you to bring those stories to life. I hope everybody can join us for what we bring to the world. And it's fun to see this come to life.
Let's go build a talent machine.